Memory is a strange thing. It does not always belong to us. Sometimes it comes from places we've never stood, doors we've never opened, voices we've never heard except in dreams. Most of our memories are built slowly, layered through days and repetition, but some arrive already formed, fully furnished, as if waiting. Children speak without hesitation. They don't question where a thought comes from or why a name feels familiar. They just say it. And when a child begins to describe a street they have never walked, or a room they have never seen, or the scent of someone they have never met, there is a quiet moment, a single breath where the world tilts. The parents learn the weight of this moment. The air changes. The floor feels further away. The child keeps talking, unaware that they have stepped into something vast. They speak of faces they miss deeply, though they should not know them. They describe love with the certainty of someone remembering, not imagining. And the adults listen with a tenderness that is part awe, part fear, and part grief for something they cannot name. There is a hush to these stories. They do not shout, they do not chase, they do not try to prove anything. They simply exist in the space where past and present touch for a moment like fingertips meeting through glass. The uncanny lives not in what is said, but in how ordinary it feels to the child, as if they have just come back from somewhere they cannot point to on a map. And tonight, we will walk slowly into those moments, into kitchens with cereal bowls and morning sunlight, into quiet car rides where small voices say old names, into rooms where a child pauses at the doorway, recognizing a life that was never theirs. Oh, there is no need to rush. Memory will tell itself. All we must do is listen. When the family first moved into the small yellow house on Alder Lane, it felt like a beginning. The mother had chosen it because of the sunlight in the kitchen and the way the neighborhood sounded in the late afternoon, children's laughter, the hum of sprinklers, the soft rattle of leaves. The father liked the quiet street and the old oak tree out front that shaded the driveway. And their daughter, 4 years old and full of soft curiosity, liked the way her bedroom window looked onto the garden. It seemed, in every way that mattered, like a place where life could unfold gently. For the first few weeks, everything was ordinary. Morning cartoons, shoes left by the door, the careful process of learning where things belonged, the new silverware drawer, the cupboard that stuck slightly at the hinge, the right light switch for the hallway. It was the kind of domestic settling that never felt remarkable, just life moving into place. The first time their daughter spoke of the blue door, it was breakfast. She was eating toast, carefully picking off the crusts the way children do. She said it simply, without leading into it, as though continuing a conversation no one else had heard. "I used to live in the house with the blue door," she said. Her mother smiled, gentle and distracted, buttering another slice. "You mean our old apartment, the one with the green mailbox?" The girl shook her head. "No, not that one, the blue doors, the one by the mango trees." They had never lived near a mango tree. Her father looked up, amused. "When was that?" She frowned as if trying to measure time without having the words for it. "Before." Well, the conversation drifted away on its own. Children say strange things sometimes. Imaginations bloom in unexpected directions. They didn't think about it again for several days. Oh, but the mentions returned. In the car, passing an unfamiliar intersection, she whispered, "We're close to it now." In the grocery store, reaching for a carton, she murmured, "She used to buy this." In the bath, splashing quietly, she sang a song neither parent recognized, soft, lilting, almost like a lullaby. Her mother asked carefully, "Who taught you that song?" The girl blinked, confused at the question. "My other mommy." She said it without fear, without hesitation, without any sense that the adults in the room were holding their breaths. They did not correct her, they simply nodded, but something small tightened in the space between them, a thread pulled taut. Over the next few weeks, small details began to surface. Not dramatic, not wild, just precise in ways a child her age should not be precise. She knew how to tie a certain kind of knot in her shoelaces, looped twice and tucked under. She knew the word for a kind of clay oven her parents had never used. She described a bedroom with yellow curtains and a wooden trunk at the foot of the bed. But the detail that settled deepest came one afternoon when her mother was folding laundry. The girl crawled into her lap, rested her head beneath her chin, and said very quietly, "She braided my hair like this, the woman with the scar on her hand." Her mother's heart stilled, not with fear, but with a grief she did not yet understand. Her own mother had died when she was young. Her daughter had never known that story. But this was not that woman. This was someone else. Someone who had lived in a house with a blue door. Someone who had a scar. Someone who had braided a small child's hair with familiar tenderness. The girl did not explain further. She simply stayed there, warm and small, breathing in sync with her mother's chest. One Saturday, while driving to visit a friend, they passed a neighborhood they had never been through before. Small houses, worn fences, fruit trees heavy with late summer sweetness. The girl sat up straighter in her car seat. "Oh, there," she said. Her finger pointed not at a general direction, but at a single house. A house with a blue door. The parents did not stop the car. They did not ask questions. They simply drove quietly, the air in the car holding something delicate and trembling. That night, after their daughter fell asleep, they sat together at the kitchen table, hands wrapped around warm mugs. They didn't speak for a long time. Eventually, the mother whispered, "Do you think?" The father answered gently, "I don't know." There was nothing to solve, nothing to fix, nothing to disprove. Their daughter did not bring up the blue door again for many weeks. Until one evening, as the sun was setting and the sky glowed pale orange through the windows, she stood in the hallway, looking toward the front door of their own home. She said, with a softness that didn't belong to a child her age, "She was kind to me, I think she loved me, but I'm here now." She did not cry. She did not smile. She simply acknowledged something that passed between worlds like breath. Then she asked what was for dinner. And the house and the street outside and the oak tree in the yard all settled into the quiet of nightfall, as though something had been returned to its place. Not lost. I just remembered. And let go. There was a small lake 2 hours outside the city, the kind that didn't show up on most maps anymore. People used to vacation there decades ago when travel was simpler and summers felt longer, but time had softened the place. The cottages had faded to grays and browns, their paint peeled by weather and memory. The water still reflected the sky, but fewer people came to see it. For most, the lake had been forgotten. But for the child, it was the first place he ever described with certainty. He was 8 years old when the memories began. Not suddenly, not dramatically, just small details at first, slipped into conversation the way children mention dreams or passing thoughts. He would say things like, the stairs at the lake creak on the third step, or the cottage has green shutters, not blue, or we used to count ripples on the water until we fell asleep. His parents listened with indulgent confusion. They had never been to a lake. They didn't know anyone who owned a cottage. They assumed he was repeating something from a television show or a book. Children's imaginations are wide, unfiltered, and often mysterious even to themselves. But there was a tenderness in his voice when he spoke of the lake. Not excitement, not fantasy, something quieter, a longing that seemed older than he was. He could describe the smell of the water fresh in the morning, muddy near shore, cleanest after rain. He knew the exact way pine trees sounded when wind moved through them at night. He spoke of a dock with a loose board on the left side. He spoke of a dog named Bear who slept beside his bed. He did not say these things like stories. He said them like remembering how to tie a shoe. At school, he sketched the cottage in the margins of worksheets. Always the same angle, the front porch, the sloped roof, the window near the kitchen that caught morning light. The teacher thought it was charming at first. Then she noticed that the sketches were never revised, never corrected, never tentative. His pencil moved with the ease of muscle memory. Once she asked him if he had been there. He said yes without hesitation. Then after a pause, he added, "Not in this life." She didn't know how to respond to that, so she didn't. She patted his shoulder and told him his drawings were very good. His parents noticed more things as time went on. He knew how to fold a certain type of napkin pattern no one had taught him. He whistled a tune that made his mother's chest tighten, though she couldn't place it. He insisted on closing the curtains at dusk, saying softly, "The lake gets cold at night and the windows feel it." His father tried to laugh it off, but the sound came out wrong. The child was not afraid when he said these things. That almost made it worse. One evening, his mother sat with him on the couch. The house was quiet except for the hum of the refrigerator. She held him the way she used to when he was smaller, when he was new to the world. She asked as gently as she could who lived at the cottage. The boy didn't think before answering. He spoke the names of people his family had never heard. A woman with hair the color of iron, a man who smelled of wood smoke. A sibling, an older brother, whose laughter he remembered with a softness that made his mother's eyes sting. He talked about routines, feeding the dog at dawn, sweeping sand from the porch, counting fireflies until their glow blurred into the dark. His words were steady and sure. He was recalling, not inventing. When he was finished, he leaned his head on his mother's shoulder. He didn't cry, he didn't seem troubled, he was simply tired. His mother kissed the top of his head and held him without speaking. Her heartbeat felt loud in her own ears. The house around them felt too modern, too clean, too far from lakes and pine trees and evenings that tasted like smoke and dew. The father was the one who finally said, "Let's take him." Not as an answer, not as proof, but because something in their son's voice had been calling. The next weekend, they drove toward the direction their son described. They didn't use a map. They didn't have to. The boy directed them in quiet instructions. "Turn here, not there. The road narrows soon. You'll see water when the trees thin." And they did. Every word was right. Well, the lake appeared exactly as he had drawn it. The cottage was there too. It had green shutters. The roof sloped. The porch boards bowed. And the third stair creaked. They stopped the car. No one spoke. The boy stepped out first. He did not walk quickly. He moved like someone approaching something sacred. His parents followed at a distance, unsure whether to call him back or let him go. He approached the porch. He placed his hand on the railing. He breathed in. Then the door opened. A woman stood there, older, lines in her face, eyes soft and tired. She looked at the boy with a grief that had been waiting. She whispered his name. The name was not his name. But he answered. His parents did not step forward. The woman did not invite. The moment felt fragile, like something that belonged to time itself. No one cried. No one asked what was true. There are truths that do not live in explanation, only in recognitions. The boy placed his hand on the woman's. He held it for one quiet moment. Then he let go. He walked back to his parents. He did not look back. He did not need to. On the drive home, he fell asleep in the back seat, his breathing even and untroubled. His mother watched him in the rearview mirror, her chest heavy with something that was not sorrow, not exactly, something closer to reverence. His father drove without speaking, hands steady on the wheel. When they reached home, the boy carried his sketchbook to his room. He placed it on a shelf. He did not draw the cottage again. That night before sleeping, he said one simple thing. I remembered, and now I don't have to anymore. His mother turned off the lights. The house settled into quiet. The lake remained where it was, still patient, unchanged. Some lives do not end. They simply step softly into the next room. The apartment was small, the kind meant for quiet people. 2 bedrooms, a living room with warm golden paint on the walls, and a hallway just long enough for footsteps to echo softly at night. It was the kind of place that held sound gently rather than swallowing it. The mother kept the home tidy, toys in wicker baskets, laundry folded on the couch before bedtime, dishes washed before sleep. Not out of fussiness, but because order made her feel safe in a life where so little had remained steady. Her son was 3, still soft in the face, still learning the difference between yesterday and tomorrow. His days were full of crayons and plastic dinosaurs and the slow, careful work of learning how the world fits together. He had always been gentle. A child who held bugs carefully instead of crushing them, who hugged around the neck with small arms that didn't yet understand their own strength. The first time he said the name, it was evening. She was reading to him one of those picture books with rounded corners and bright colors. He was half asleep, heavy with drowsiness and warm pajamas. He murmured, "My brother used to read this to me." She paused, her breath didn't stop, but it changed shape. The boy had no siblings. She stroked his hair and asked softly, "What brother, love?" He didn't open his eyes. The older one, the one who lived in the house with the long hallway, he walked fast. I had to run to keep up. His voice was full of affection, not longing, not confusion, just remembering. She didn't ask again. Something in her felt that asking would be like pulling a thread too sharply. Instead, she whispered, "That sounds nice," and continued reading until his breathing deepened and sleep carried him away. Over the next several weeks, small pieces surfaced. Never forced, never requested, always quiet, always calm. He talked about the hallway, how the wallpaper had tiny flowers, how the floorboards clicked under bare feet, how sunlight made patterns at noon. He described the smell of soup cooking in a kitchen too far away for him to see from his low height. He said he used to sit at the top of stairs and wait for someone to come home. He knew the sound of keys that jingled before the door opened. But he always spoke of the brother most clearly. The brother held my hand when I crossed the street. The brother knew how to fix my toys. The brother carried me when I was tired. He said these things the way children talk about normal life, without awareness that the world around him was holding its breath. The mother listened, and love fierce, protective, trembling, settled behind her ribs like a second heartbeat. One stormy night, the electricity flickered and the apartment dimmed. The hallway stretched into shadow, long and soft-edged. Rain tapped the windows with gentle insistence. The mother lit a candle on the kitchen counter. The flame glowed golden, warm, familiar. Her son stood in the hallway, holding a small stuffed bear. He looked not afraid, not surprised, just attentive, like he was waiting for something to arrive. She crouched beside him. "What do you see, sweetheart?" He didn't move his eyes from the far end of the hall. "Oh, he came to say good night." Her breath stilled, the candle flickered. She did not ask who. She already knew. She did not see anything. But the hallway felt full, not crowded, full the way a room feels full of music you can't quite hear. The boy lifted his hand and waved, a small, patient wave, not excited, not urgent, a wave that said goodbye the way someone says goodbye to someone they know will always be part of them. The air warmed slightly, like someone standing close without touching. The feeling lasted only a moment, but the mother felt it. She knew she felt it, and she did not question it. The hallway returned to stillness. The apartment settled. The rain softened its rhythm. The boy leaned into her and whispered, "He's happy now." She picked him up, held him close, carried him to bed and tucked him beneath soft blankets. He fell asleep immediately, as though something inside him had finally rested. She stood a long time at the bedroom door, hand on the frame, feeling both small and infinite. There was no fear. There was no need to understand. Some love comes from lives we do not remember. Some bonds do not begin or end in one lifetime. Later that night, she walked the hallway once more. Slowly, barefoot, soft-footed, she did not turn on a light. The darkness did not feel empty. And at the place where her son had stood, she paused. She rested her fingertips against the wall. The wallpaper there was plain, the floorboards quiet, and yet she felt seen. She whispered into the stillness, not to ask, not to summon, but simply to honor. Thank you for loving him." The darkness held her words gently, like hands closing around something fragile and cherished. She went to bed and slept deeply. And in the morning, sunlight pooled softly across the hallway floor, and everything felt exactly as it should. So some families do not end. They simply remember. Night has a way of opening doors we do not notice in daylight. When the world is quiet and the rooms grow still, memory loosens. The mind softens its borders. The past speaks in gentle tones, not to frighten but to be acknowledged. Tonight we listen to children who carried pieces of lives they had already lived, fragments of love, of home, of belonging that did not begin here yet still mattered. There was no violence in these memories, no threat. Only the subtle and undeniable truth that life is larger than one lifetime. That love does not always end. That familiar faces can return in new forms, and old promises can linger softly in the spaces between breaths. As you prepare to rest, let your thoughts move like water, slow, deep, unhurried. Let the rooms around you settle. Let the night hold you the way darkness holds the stars. There is nothing to solve, nothing to question. Just quiet recognition that some things continue even when we do not remember where they began. You've been listening to Haunted Nights. Sleep well if you can. And as your eyes grow heavy, remember this. Sometimes the soul knows its way home long before we understand why.